Shwmae pawb, good evening. We are live at Top Tumble, Upper Tumble as they call it, and outside Maddocks. So thank you for joining me. If I turn back here a moment. So what are we doing here tonight? What are we doing here? Well, let me tell you. Imagine in the 1980s, when there was naught to do, there was nothing on telly, and nothing was open. We longed for things like this. We longed for places like Maddocks. So, showing you some of the stuff that they have here. It looks fantastic. So this is a local shop on the square. As you can see it, right next to Club Top. Weather's not so good today. I think this is down to someone who's jinxed me this week by saying that I only go out filming. You know who you are, Fletch. They've jinxed me by saying that I only go out when it's nice weather. Well, not true. And I think my luck's run out. I've had 7 weeks of good weather. Fire engine, Tumble boys. 7 weeks of good weather. Luck's run out, I think. So we're on 8th week here, and the weather's turned. Good evening, Ross, Stuart, Helen, David, Nikki. Thanks for joining me. Now we're going to be having a look inside Maddocks in a moment, and I want to show you a little sort of bit of the village that we now have on a Sunday. Now, if we think back to, sorry, my screen's not working properly here. Now I'm hoping my camera can deal with this weather. So Maddocks, we're starting off with Maddocks tonight, and then we're going down to Lower Tumble to see what's on offer. But you never saw any of these delights when we were kids. I think it's amazing to see how things have changed in the village. It's kind of how you'd want your garden to look outside the shop. It's beautiful. And if it wasn't for the weather, I tell you what, it'd be a perfect place to sit down now and have a coffee. Evening. Good evening, Nina. Selena. Just missed us. Anyway, so Tumble shops, provisions. Who provided us with the stuff back in the day, and who's providing us with the stuff we need today? And more importantly, on a Sunday. Do you remember those boring Sundays, sat in the house waiting for something to come on before video? Or some of us didn't have video. Maybe there was video out there. Before we had any sort of Sky TV or any of that malarkey. When we couldn't even get a pack of crisps or a chocolate or a can of pop. So let's go and have a look at Maddocks, shall we, from the inside. We'll have a look. So this is Maddocks, your not so common grocery store or convenience shop. Now, the reason I bring you in here is because at one time this used to be the post office. Now, for those of you from Tumble will remember that the post office was here pretty much through our childhood. I think it closed in 2007. After that, I think it was sat still for about 8 years before they did anything with it. But then the McPhersons moved in 2015, took this place over and turned it into Maddocks. Oh, there's my wicker baskets that I made on display, says Linda. Lovely little shop. Yes, it is a lovely little shop, I must say. Any of you that haven't been to Maddocks, you must come and check it out. Now, what are Maddocks famous for? They're famous for their brownies, their cakes and homemade food. But there's also sort of this history. I just want to turn around to the shop because it's just something else. I don't know, it has a very sort of unique character to it. Even runs off the bell, like in the old days. If I just go back through here. So, in 2016, they opened this up and they called it Maddocks, based on its old name, which the shop was called in 1952 apparently. They do have a picture up there. I don't want to sort of get in the way of the customers. Seems to be a busy little shop. In 1952 this was called Maddocks, so when they reopened it just seemed to make more sense to them to keep the name, as apparently the older fellas used to call it Maddocks even when it was the post office, I believe. Well, the post office, right behind me here, this would have been the sort of booth that you bought your stamps and your books and maybe collected your pension, possibly. And the shop, as it is now, not that much difference in terms of layout, I don't think, but they plan on making a coffee shop here over the next year or so, so there's that to look forward to. So if you're hanging out around here, this is a good place to pop in and check that out. But when we were kids, we used to come here to collect fags for maybe our grandparents who'd be in the club next door, or my gran anyway. She'd send me over with a note and tell Dave, I believe, Dave the post office. Good evening, Mum. My mum's online. Wendy, Reese, good evening. Is Kathy hiding under the counter? No, Kathy's away, but it would have been nice to have Kathy or Andrew on here tonight. Doesn't matter. We'll call in again, and next time we'll bring a crowd. How's that sound? So let's go for a little walk, shall we? So thank you very much, guys, for letting me in here this evening. If I just turn and welcome out. Good night. Now, who remembers those things? Still a few around, I imagine. It now has a defibrillator. One of the local photographers been busy getting that going. That'll be Gwen's work. I hope you weren't smoking, says Pearl, who is my mother, of course. No, I was never smoking, Mum. You can be sure of that. Would I lie to you? Would I lie to you? Of course I was smoking. I was a rebel kid. Can you believe this? The weather has just turned for me, maybe. So thanks again, everybody, for following me and going on a little jaunt down towards Lower Tumble. So tonight I want to look at all the shops that sort of supplied stuff to the community over the years. And I think this is an important aspect, because without these things we would probably move out. There are some villages obviously that don't have the shops, or I'm just going to check that this is right, because it seems to be arguing with me at the moment. It hasn't been set up properly. Forgive me, just going to set this up. Close that off. Nope, still does mono. This is the snag with all these little bits of technology. I'm still here, Right, now I can turn it back on. I do apologise, just a little glitch. I'm here, I'm still here. There you go, that was quickly done. I was an angel according to my mother. I'd like to believe you, Mum, and I'm sure every one of you mums out there right now think their kids are little angels. I was a little angel. So, what do we have here? Tumble surgery. Might not be a shop, but very important to the community. That's where you would go and get your prescriptions if you were ill. So, I think that's an important part, wouldn't you say? Good evening, Endav, Kieran. You are in Tumble, my friends, whether you're sitting on your couch or your car or you're out busy doing your thing and just tuned in, we're back in Tumble for one more evening on a Sunday evening. No, as I said, Sunday evenings were rubbish for me when I was a kid. As for most kids back then, we wanted to be out, and when the weather's a bit like this, yeah, the odds were against you. You'd have to watch the world through your windows, wishing or hoping that the ice cream van would come round. Now, having been just up in Top Tumble, I'd probably like to point out some of the main provisions. Let me just see the messages here. Pamela, you were definitely not an angel. I beg to differ, Pamela. In the kitchen, ask my mother. She was just online. She said that I was an angel. In the kitchen, cook. Oh, that's Janet. Good evening, Janet. Cooking away in the kitchen. Janet is listening to me yapping on. Thanks, Janet. Stuart McPherson. It was the co-op print. Ah, right. Okay. Do you mean the surgery? I wonder. Let me know if that was the case, Stuart. That'd be good to know. So on a Sunday evening, we used to. Let me just point this out. Now that's an old school bus stop, like we have in my square, or lower my square, or lower Tumble. Hello, it's Eden with Sal. Good evening, Eden. Thank you for joining me. So the co-op, I'm not sure about that. However, I'd like to know more. In Top Tumble, you used to have. Good evening. Yeah, all right. So you in Bangor, you would have. Yeah, you all right? Yeah, yeah. Just point there. Hey! Fellow Tumblians.
Well, why not?
Used to have a shop in Bangor. You also used to have the ice cream van available there, and I forget, is there something else? Maybe somebody else knows something that I don't here. Top Tumble was out of our sort of limit until we were probably later teens or beginning of our teens possibly. But one of the main shops that was part of my life especially, even, let's cross the road here while it's safe, even there used to be a shop in Singleton Road, according to McPherson. No, I'm not sure about that, but that's interesting. However, no, that shop there was where I worked. It's rather noisy here with the wind. Mark Thomas, did you smoke in that bus stop? Of course we didn't. Calm down, Helen, says Alison. Stuart McPherson says the surgery was the co-op. Good evening, Simon Owen. Helen, you're certainly an angel. No. Thank you very much, Helen. That's comforting to know that someone thinks that I'm an angel now. I love this building behind me. However, I'm not going to draw attention to that this week. I am, however, going to draw a little more attention to this. Now, I worked here at 14, no, possibly 11, till about 15. So every morning, 6 o'clock, I would grab my paper bag, and Nigel and Susan used to run this place back then. And, well, I don't know, I can't take you in there, unfortunately. There does happen to be a business running here now, called Tumble Trophies. It's been a studio at some point as well, a photographic studio. Let me scroll through here, sorry, I'm missing some of your messages, unfortunately. Roger Phillips, shop in Bangor, I think was called Shop Sally, was it? No, I know that was open until the 90s. This shop, Nigel's shop as we called it, or Susan's shop, ran until the noughties at some point, I'm sure. I can't remember exactly. If anyone knows, I'd love to know that. Leave a message here, it'd be great to find out. Susan, if you're watching this, or Nigel, please let me know, that'd be great. Try Facebook. You're going to pass my house in about 5 minutes, says Selena. Well, make sure you're out waving, okay? So we can sort of show Facebook Tumble. Yeah, we used to come up this hill every morning, 6 o'clock, rain, whatever weather. Sundays was the worst because you didn't want to get out of bed, but you had a couple of quid extra if you went on a Sunday, so why not, huh? That's how you made your pocket money, and that's how you were able to have money to double or nothing. Let's see what else we've got on here. Pamela Hughes, there was a shop at Singleton Road. Ben Phillips. That's interesting. I have no idea or any recollection. Do you know what year that closed? That'd be interesting. Or it would be useful for me. No. It's good to be out here, even in this weather. Everybody's passing by and giving me a wave. Maybe. Where are you, Sal? Eden, are you still there? I'm passing your house now. Hang on, let's turn this round. Hello! Hiya, you right? Happy Sunday and happy Father's Day. Is Dad behaving? Yeah? Is he chilling? Awesome. See you later. Bye bye. So that was the Johns family. John family rather. Okay, so there was a shop in Singleton Road as well as the paper shop. Now I failed to mention at the moment that Nigel shop was a paper shop. That's how we knew it. Nigel would run all the papers around the entire village and beyond, and still does it, I believe, unless that's changed. Something that's probably not even required anymore. If you want to we've got another face popping outside the door here, so it'd be great to have a chat with him, I think. Let's go and see Mr. Simon Owen, shall we? Hang on, just turn this round. Mr. Owen, how are you, my friend?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, very good.
My bum?
Great to see you.
Aye.
So, what are you doing on this fine Sunday in this weather?
Doing shit for work.
You don't want to be doing work on a Sunday, it's a day for nothing.
No, I gotta get my stuff ready for work, and
So, do you remember any of the shops in Top?
Top? Yeah. Only Nigels.
That's the only one?
Yeah, I can't remember the post office in it. Oh, the post office as well.
Yeah, Top Tumble. Do you remember the one in Bank of Gorse? Let me turn this back round, it's easier.
No.
I think. You don't remember the one in Bank of Gorse?
Way before that's me.
Do you remember? No, you must remember the video shop, surely, in Bank of Gorse. Okay, do you remember Stand Shop?
I remember Stand, yeah.
Do you remember the first video you rented in Stands? No.
What was it, like Transformers the movie or something like that?
I'm off now to check out all the shops, see what's happening in Tumble. Thank you very much for talking to us. Cheers, buddy. Bye bye. So that was my good old friend Simon Owen. One of 4 siblings, 3 naughty boys all together and a naughty girl. You all know who you are. So yes, I'm in some absolute rubbish weather. However, as I can't even sort of express how good it's turned out considering the weather we had about 20 minutes ago. It's windy, it's pinking a bit, but it's not actually raining that much, so we can get away with this. I was frightened that this might not work because of the rain. I'm not sure if the sound sounds good. It can be a bit windy. So Simon and Lee used to hire Nightmare on Elm Street. I used to be scared. Now, thank you very much, Janet. There you go. So Simon Owen, you used to watch Nightmare on Elm Street, as we all did, I think. You should be in the shop, Kathy McPherson. Lol, you could have sold to one of those wicker baskets. Now then, yeah, we could have. If anybody wants any wicker baskets, ask Linda. Linda, are you local? I don't recognise you by name, however I might recognise you by face. Simon Owen, all spot on. Okay, so Nightmare on Elm Street, a massive influence when we were kids. One of the all-time scariest movie. Now, does anybody remember any shops in High Street other than Nigels Paper Shop? And what was Nigels Paper Shop called before that? That might be good to know. Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, Melanie, Tracy. Just tuned in. Well, thanks a lot. Graham, Jonathan Williams, Mandy, Megan, Lisa. Quite a few of you on here this evening. That's good. Let me turn. No, we'll keep walking for a minute. So, does anybody remember any shops in the actual High Street? Green Hill, yes, you've got Green Hill coming up here. Thanks, Simon. Yes, there's something I probably want to talk about at some point. Not this evening, however, because I got another sort of subject I'd like to cross there. So hopefully, maybe Skidger and Home would like to talk to us at some point. Green Hill, if you're on here or will be on here, maybe you could let me know. Send me a message to see if you'd be happy to talk to me. Elias Paper Shop before Nigel. Yes, of course it was. Yes, thank you. That's from Roger Phillips. Janice Evans. There was a sweet shop in one of those houses in High Street. That's what I'm looking for. Any more knowledge? Does anybody know the name of that shop? So Linda's from Travach. If you want any baskets, check her out. She lives next door to the shop that closed down, as we looked at the other day, I think. Colin Jones, Winford, Elias was Nigel's Paper Shop. So any relation, I wonder? Let's turn this round. There you go, a Skidger. Hopefully we'll come back to that one day, very soon. One Sunday in the future. I'm aware that it's very windy right now, so if you're not hearing me for whatever reason, I do apologise. I'm not kitted out with the right mic for this device, which is something else I'll probably look into. Let's have a look. Was there in the 60s? What, the house in High Street? That'd be good to know more. Now, can I ask anybody that watches me on a regular basis, could you please, if you have anything, or ask around, I'd love to know if anybody has any photographs, historical photographs of any of these shops. And there's one or two in particular I'll want, and I'll let you know what that is in a little bit. We lived in the old sweet shop next to Tumble School. Used to buy sugar mice there, yes, Janet. That I'm going to come back to in a moment also. Let's turn this around. Now, another one of those shops I should turn my attention to. It's not a shop as such, however, it is one of those things, the health thing that we should be considering, and that's your physiotherapy. Now this is Mr. Peel's shop, Dennis Peel. Now Dennis Peel being the father of already Welsh rugby legend Dwayne Peel. He's a bit of a legend even in school. He could run like a whippet. That you'll never forget. Let's have a look. Marie Jones. Wasn't there a shop opposite the club? Now this I do remember, but I can't say anything because I don't know. Winford Elias and Tommy Elias were brothers. Yes, okay, so they both had two paper shops. Your Tommy's down by the park, and then Winford up the top. Let's have a look. So right there, this being the club, the Workingmen's Club, right there, there used to be a shop. I have some kind of recollection of this. I don't know if I'm right or not. Somebody else has told me this in the past. But if anybody remembers this, it'd be great to learn a bit more, I think. So let's turn back a minute. Let's have a peep here. So surgery, major shop, high street shops here. Right. Now then, one of the most historic ones has to be this building. Now, before Tumble Memorials, or even Cymru Balti, which offer a nice curry, by the way, anybody that's interested. these, I believe, were shops all the way down, but that used to be the old ironmongers. There's plenty of photographs to back that up. Step-toes, possibly, quite possibly. Colin Jones reckons the shop opposite the club was called Step-toes. That would be brilliant if it is, I'm not sure. Roger seems to confirm this. Step-toes. Thanks a lot, guys. I didn't know that. Now here, Emerald Vet has been here for quite some years now. But right there was HSBC. Or before that, Midland Bank. So that's where you got your first bank account. And right in the middle there, you used to have the ATM, or cash machine as we call them, which probably came about in the 90s for us. However, I think the ATM was designed where cash was sort of distributed through cash machines from the 80s onwards, I think. I believe the early 80s. Wool shop. Yes, there used to be a wool shop before that next door, didn't it? Let's point that out. So Emerald used to be a wool shop, and this used to be the HSBC Bank. Ah, right, okay, that's Roger Phillips has just said that the ironmonger was Nick Steptoe because of its relation to the programme, I imagine. Now there, just not that long ago, was the Tumble Hotel. Now knocked down, unfortunately, which was nearly 100 years, probably was 100 years old. When it was knocked down, which unfortunately, you know, was a hub for the community back during the mining era. It's a shame they got rid of that. And thank you for pointing this out, guys. Hazel's Wool Shop. Yes, I do remember Hazel. What about Johnny Alberto? Well, if we turn our camera there, right in Tumble Stores there, that used to be called Howells when we were kids, but we also remember it being called Johnny's. Now, Johnny Alberto, being an Italian, opened a coffee shop there where he sold pasties also. I always hear the stories that he sold steamed pasties and coffee. Let's have a look. If I turn the camera back up this way. So Brudverth, this shop here, now owned by Rian, next door to Johnny's, used to be an accountant, I believe. And I think I know people who have worked there back some years. So Megan Martin, Jenkins Ferry China shop in High Street, and his son had a sweet shop in the house where we live now. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Megan. That's amazing information. In the Vets used to be wool shop, yes. Good evening, Dawn Carby. Or as I remember you, Dawn McKee. Living in our street when we were kids. So she's a Squarney, as I am also. So here you have Maywa. You also have Watkins Fruit and Veg. And our old chip shop. Now, anybody who lived in this village, that was our main hub as kids. That's where we spent our time, in there with Marion Fisher, I believe. Used to run the chippy when we were kids, and now after karate, that's where we went, to the chippy. Or if there was a day we weren't doing anything, well, that's when we went to play Space Invaders. Now they used to have like a Space Invader table where they had the buttons, and it was fantastic back in the day. And the sign's still there, even though there is now a new chip shop. Squarney forever, says Don Carby. Right we are. Alison, this is fascinating, and I don't even live there, only a visitor. Thank you very much, Alison. Keep tuned. I hope I can sort of keep entertaining you. Marion Fisher, yes. Now, there you go. Look at these two beauties. Now that little shop there used to be a sweet shop when I was a kid, I remember, or at least a florist. I may be slightly wrong in memory. Graham says he remembers the old Space Invaders machine. I'm sure most of you guys from Tumble will remember the Space Invaders machine. It was one of the main things. We probably used to fight to get on this thing. Now, does anybody remember? Yes, Mariana. Mariana, thank you very much, Mandy. Now that little shop there, which is now a hairdresser or a hair salon, as they call them, used to be a florist. And I'm trying to remember the name of the lovely lady that used to run it. Can anybody sort of tell me who that was? Best Russells ever. Do you remember the 2p nudger machine in the chippy? No, I don't remember that. Maybe others will. If you put 50p in, hang on, let's read this out. If you put 50p in and hit the money, come out credit. Sorry, the messages are jumping up now at this stage, so I can't read them, unfortunately. I remember the machine. Andrew Hughes, Des Draper. Could you be more specific there, Andrew, please? And Gary's Fruit Shop. Yes, I don't want to miss Gary's Fruit Shop, because when we were kids, if we come back to Gary's fruit and veg shop here, for instance, or the butcher, fresh meats, as we can see here. Now, Gary is a Squirny also, or at least that's how we remember him. Des Draper owned the florist, thank you very much. So, if I get that in the background, there, fresh meats, back to front obviously, like me. He used to have a fruit and veg van operating out to the street that I grew up on, and he was pretty much there for much of my childhood, I believe. And then, you know, he moved up market. He still has the fruit and veg vans, and he now has the shop. So I'm going to come back to a few things in a moment. Ron Blodai, I remember that name. Catherine's hairdresser, fruit and veg shop. Gary had a little shop as fruit and veg before hairdressers. Okay, yes, I remember the sweets there as a kid. Diane Draper, sorry, my mistake. Draper related. Des was her husband. Thank you very much, Pearl, also known as Mum. Now then, one of the things here, Henleys, just opened. It's been open a few months. If we go and have a look, maybe we can see inside here. But this was Erica's shop for many years. This was Tinton. Now, Henleys, owned by, if I just move out of there for a minute, come back. So Sharon Barros Pereira, now the owner of the old Tinton. It's had a haircutting shop here at one time, or a barber possibly. Good evening, Donna, Wendy. Ron was before Diane and Des, says Wendy. My mother used to bag potatoes for Gary in the shed behind his house in my square, and yes. Do you know, I think many of us kids had this job. Well, I was quite friendly with Lee as a kid, Gary's son, so we used to go and bag potatoes as well, and you'd have a couple of quid from Gary for doing that. It was an excellent experience when we were kids. The smell of the leather shoes when you went in was lush. Yes, it was. And I wish it was still here. I don't have the opportunity. I really want to come back to this place in a couple of weeks. You can't really see in there right now because of the shine on the window, but I'd like to come back there in the next few weeks and maybe have a chat with Erica and the new owner of the shop and get an idea of how it's run in there. So I wish you all the best there. Sorry, give me a second. Yes, So Sharon, wish you all the best with that. I hope it is busy, it's looking wonderful, and I hope that people are sort of making use of that. We've needed a cafe in this village for a long time, and yet it's only now we're having one again, since Shalene's mother, Mrs. Anderson, was running the cafe where the ironmongers is now. Do you remember the carpet in that shop? You used to step into it. It was a massive sort of white fluffy carpet, like a shag pile, and you would stand into this thing and sink into it. But when we were kids, that's all we wanted, was to go in there and get Velcro shoes. They made you run faster. It's true. If you don't believe me, ask anyone of my age. Nobody believes me when I say this. Velcro shoes make you run faster. That's why we wanted them, not because they were easy. I'm going to turn the camera here a minute. Now, that there, until not so long ago, was the post office. Our village post office for over 30 years that I'm aware of. I have photographs of it, but it's now the local chip shop. Good use, at least it's something we're all sort of, alright, we're all sort of making use of. There's a lot of things I'd probably like to show you, and I think over the coming weeks, this is going to go on forever. I think I'm going to be walking the hills of Tumble on a Sunday evening, trying to lift you all out of your doom and misery of a Sunday, and the kids who are dreading going back to school tomorrow. It's going to be fine. A few years you're going to be out there wishing that you were back in. It's going to be fine. Behind the chippy there was a bakery. Was there? I don't remember that. Actually, now that we mention it, Andrew Hughes, you're on here. I think, do you not own the chippy, possibly? Or the flats behind? Sharon Prescott, thank you for the wonderful comments. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, Sharon. I will be back, and hopefully I can bring Erica and we'll have a nice cup of coffee with you soon, so we can have a chat then, more formal conversation possibly. Maybe in the next 2-3 weeks. How's that sound? Maybe keep a spot for me. Alison, seems a lot of good shops gone to the wall. Yes, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the game, I believe. It's windy right here. Now then, this was the shop that I remember with the mice. Janet James used to live here, I recollect. Now, in there is where you can just imagine the weighing scales for the sweets and all sorts of stuff. The funny thing is, I only remember white mice, chocolate mice also. I remember those. Good evening, Claire, Janice. The surgery used to be next door to the post office. Yes. I will come back to that. The surgery. I'll probably pick this up again at some point. Not just now though. No, for some reason. Good evening, Lana. Mandy, love the sweet shop. Yes, I think we all love the sweet shop. For some reason I have some other kind of memory of something else existing around here. So this is the school, Tumble Primary, as we visited last week. And we only had to walk out of that, up here, and straight into the shop until it was closed in the end of the 80s, I believe. So, yeah, it was sad to see that go, I think. I do have vague memory of it closing. Sad times. We've lost a lot of shops in Tumble. A lot of stores, a lot of businesses. Now I think in this day and age, many shops don't have the opportunity to survive much longer than 6 months to a year because of business taxes, and it's pretty much crippling all the people who are trying to make a fair go of it and just haven't got a chance because of the taxes. And not just that, there's many other factors also, but mainly taxes. I always had sweets because I was a good girl, says Mandy. I believe that, Mandy. I was a good boy as well, but people don't believe it. Selena, I remember the doctor's surgery by Andrew's shop. That's something I'll come back to. There's a lot of surgeries in Tumble. What's all that about? Those were the days. Halfpenny sweets, yes, they were amazing. The house is now called the Sweet Shop. I didn't know that, that's amazing. So the Sweet Shop still exists. I remember the surgery by Andrew's shop too. Now, why so many surgeries in Tumble? Or did they just move from one place to the other? I like to think there was more than one. Maybe 4, 5, because we were all invalids, or somebody who sort of damages ourselves constantly. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, before I disappear, I want to make a point that we've got Sheila's shop when we were kids still there. Hopefully we can come back to that soon as well. I'd like to. Sheila, I'm coming to see you one day and we'll have a chat very soon, hopefully. Let's have a look. Where are we? So, now then, one of the major points of our childhood, and I have to express this because many of you will remember this just as much and just as fondly as I do. We had injections in the vestry opposite the hall. Oof, yes, I remember that. I choose to forget now. Now, right here, as you can see that little Premier sign in the background, this little house was the proprietor of that shop at one time. It's now owned by Andrew Hughes, who was with us online. But in here Stan and Colin, his son, used to live. You don't forget that house. It's ingrained in your memory. It's burnt into my memory because, not just because of the house, not just because of the house. Mandy, Shannon, Enoch, he wants to interview Sheila. Tell her. Okay, thank you very much, Mandy. Stan's house, yes, it was. Yes, broke my nose on the lamppost you just passed. I broke my nose on a fist that belonged to another kid in the school we just passed. Long time ago, and that kid remembers who it is. Roller skating down the main road. Dawn, you rebel. Used to jump in his hedges. Don't point the finger at me. Yes, we used to jump in hedges, but I never jumped in Stan's hedges. Ever. Let's make that clear. So, let's have a look at. I'll come back to this from a different angle, I think. So we're going to have a look at Stan's shop. Now, Andrew Hughes' shop, called Farchnad Fach. But, oh yeah, the sort of effect this place had on us and the importance to our childhood is phenomenal in terms of any other shop, I think. If I just turn this around, now, right there, before these houses existed, long before they turned up, there was a job centre there. Now, many people have forgotten about the job centre, an important part of any community back in those days, because everybody was looking for work. Jobs had gone up the Swanee. Many of them were sent to that place. Well, that used to be there. I have pictures of this. I'm going to post these to back it up soon. But that's where they went. They called it the joke shop in Tumble for many reasons, obvious reasons, I think. Because there was never any jobs there that suited anybody. There was never any jobs there that suited anyone, so, you know, quite appropriately called the joke shop. So, now, if we go back in time by about 20 years. 20 years ago that shop became Farchnad Fach. Wyn Stevens. We built that house. I was working for the Garrows. Hugh Garrow in Garrow's Hugh, 1981, mate. Thank you very much, Wyn. I don't think I would ever have had that information had I gone on here. Am I right? So in 1981 that building was built, and by 1986 it gave us a video store. Anybody remember the name of that video store? Well, I remember, and the reason I remember, because it changed my life, and I think it changed every life's kid in this village, because not only did it give us every martial art film under the sun, it gave us all the science fiction, it gave us everything, and not only that, it gave us a huge sign on the top of that building with a massive lightning bolt that reached for the sky, and it pretty much, you could see it from miles around, like a Batman logo or something. Those were the days. Let's see. So that building was built in 1981. Thank you very much for that, Wyn. Now in 1999, I believe, and I think I am correct in quoting, Andrew Hughes bought that building, and as he told me, he went in to buy a brush. Now it used to be not an ironmonger's, a DIY store, a supply store, where Stan used to own, and he used to, you could buy a brush in there, you could buy pretty much anything you wanted, chains, tapes. And this is where we made our French arrows. We went in there and bought insulation tape and bamboo sticks. Yes, Sandra, the video shop. Rich has a good story about that. Rich has told me a good story about that, and I've written it down. So I'm currently writing stories about the whole thing, not just filming on this stuff. Mike Lewis, good evening. It's about time you called in to see us. We're talking about the video shop. I hope that you've got your Chinese and you're comfortable. So let's have a look. Andrew Hughes, the owner of this thing, as we name it after, so it's not, we don't call it H's for nothing or Hughes' shop for nothing. It's called Farchnad Fach, and for one reason. Andrew went in there in 1999 to buy a brush. This is what he told me, and he came out and he bought a building. That's right, he bought it off Stan's in 1999, and now he's owned it for 20 years, which he's run a successful business called Farchnad Fach. Not only one, but two. One in Cwmgwili, I believe. I might be wrong on that. Or Capel Hendre, possibly Capel Hendre. Just got in, well done, Mike. Yes, Simon, the tape, everything we needed in that shop. We're gonna have a look in there now. No, we're at least gonna have a look around there. I'm hoping it's not too busy and I don't wind any customers up. Don't want to be doing that on a Sunday evening. People who are coming in to get their supplies. But something I'd like to sort of bring to your attention. Look at that. Now, if this isn't good advertising, Andrew, you tell me what is. So the Farchnad Fach, now Andrew has built this on afterwards, so that wasn't there back when I worked here. And I worked here with Andrew years after I used to call for videos, and I used to work with Andrew here, stocking up, working the tills. And I even used to go out in his not so posh vans then. He gets all the posh stuff in when I've gone. You were paying me too much, I think, Andrew, back in the day. Capel Hendre, thank you, Mike. Yes, that's where the next Farchnad Fach is. So I'm going to go into the shop now. Let's see what kind of layout we have here. They might not appreciate it. Hello. Have you been prepped that I'm coming around you with my camera?
No, not
No, Andrew's meant to have told you.
No.
Right, bone to pick, Andrew. You didn't tell your staff that I was coming around the shop today. Andrew's enjoying himself. Andrew's enjoying himself in a pool right now as we speak, drinking Heineken, while we're freezing in Tumble. Come on, Andrew. You could have got us a few tickets, couldn't you? As you do. What am I on about? So, Andrew walked in here to buy a brush. This was the actual video store bit, so let me turn this around. Many of you won't remember this. It was wall-to-wall videos. Wall-to-wall. Right to the back there, and it goes further back, I believe. So, here you would have had Colin's desk, and he would have been renting us all the DVDs around these walls. Probably about 1,000 titles. And right in that next bit was still Stan's hardware store. Hard to imagine when you see it like this, but it kind of brings the memories back even when you're in here now. But anybody back then will remember all these little things. Good evening, Ben. Do you remember this place as Stan's shop? Do you remember the first film you rented? Do you remember actually coming in here the first time when the shop opened? Now, I obviously remember Andrew taking this place over. And I remember a year later I came to work here with him for about a year, maybe 2. A year possibly, can't remember exactly. You remember because I was the best member of staff, even better than Claire, his niece. And if Claire's on you now, I'm sure you'll agree, Claire, I was the top member of staff. Kate came close, but didn't really have a chance while I was working here, to be honest. So right now, I'm only joking, obviously. So right now, I'm looking at this great place that he's brought together. But I remember these shelves being filled with tape, chains, paintbrushes, all kinds of stuff. It's just hard to imagine that it turned out this way. So, Andrew, next time I'm calling past this place, I'm going to be having a chat with you. Now I remember Andrew and I were chatting a few years back, and I remember him telling me one of his famous quotes was going to the nightclub. Now you remember this, Andrew. Now Andrew used to tell me that years ago, you should be up in the nightclub, boys. He said, what's it like these days, he'd say. And we say, oh, you know, it's like this, Andrew. Oh, brilliant, he'd say. When I used to go there, I used to carry a comb in my pocket. Well, by this stage, Andrew, I need to say no more. You didn't need the comb. And it always makes me laugh, even to this day, thinking back to it. So, yeah, that shop, major part of our community. Now, Colin, if you watch this at some stage, or anybody knows Colin, I'd like to talk to Colin so that we can sort of write about some of these stories and make them available in some point in the future. Colin, I'd like to talk to you about the video shop and yourself also, Andrew, so that we can sort of document the era. Now, if anybody has any photographs of Colin's shop, Hollywood Nights, I have to point out, yes, some of you already have. Lisa Lewis gave me a photograph of the place last night. Good evening, Yestin, Di, McKee. If you have any pictures, did anyone actually pay a fine for taking films back late? Yes, they did with, I don't know if you can hear me here, the wind is howling through. There's no rain, so I'm just going to go into a quieter patch, maybe out the back here. So let's go back with the Farchnad Fach van where there's least wind, hopefully. Yeah, so fines, I doubt it very much. Andrew used to have this problem. Andrew kept the videos going for many years, but people didn't return them. They stopped returning them, and I think it's just one of those businesses that don't really work or stopped working. yes, I'm moving. Come around with the school lane. We also built the big bungalow for Tin Ton in 1982. Builder's name, Di and John Garrow brothers. Yes, I remember the brothers. And his son lives next door to me right now. So yes, Samuel family, and that is Erica's husband also, Tin Ton. Let's have a look. Yes, Simon, it was called Hollywood Nights. Now that kind of changed a lot of things in society, so it's amazing to sort of revisit that and sort of point those things out. But yeah, I'll be writing about this stuff, so you'll be able to get the things off me in a few weeks or a few months when I kick off my exhibition at the Senedd in Cardiff. Now in the meantime, anybody remembers any sort of stuff or have pictures, I would really appreciate it if you could give me a shout, and maybe I could scan these pictures. Any sort of archive stuff, I would really appreciate that. I think it would help my project along quite a bit. And I want everybody to be a part of what I'm doing, so it's a collaboration. Without other people, I won't be able to do part of the stuff that I'm doing. And it's the same with everybody on here now. You're providing a wealth of information and we're building this stuff together. One document, all together, talking about our experiences in the village. Thank you for that, Win. That's very informative. How are you, pal? Says Di Bumford. Brilliant videos. Thank you very much. That makes it worth doing. Let me point this down here. Hang on. Right, see that down there? Down there is Gwyn Williams' garage. Right, I need to find a spot without wind again. It's a very busy road, this. Good evening, Dean. Sorry, just getting out of the weather so you can actually hear what I'm saying. Right, we're now in the bus stop. It smells wonderful in here. If I just turn the camera around. Good evening, Claire. I was just saying how good I was in the position when I'm working with you, and how I was probably the best member of staff Andrew had. Just joking, of course. We know you were the best there. Right, back to my face again. Wonderful, huh? The block. How long is this going to be here? Don't put another bus stop in front of this. It won't work. It loses its sort of features. Evening, Dean. So what I want to talk to you about, exhibition, asked Sandra, Sans Daniel, when's your exhibition, Hugh? I'll have a look through Rich's pics. He has loads in his mother's. A while yet. It's not just for the exhibition, so if I don't have people's pictures or I don't have this stuff, archive stuff, in the near future, that's fine, over time. So if you come across stuff in your archive and you think, oh, there's a picture of what Hugh's been talking about, I'd love to see them. You could send me a scan off your phone, or take a picture and send it through Messenger. If they're usable and useful for the project itself, I'll give you a shout and we can sort of arrange to meet, and I can maybe professionally scan what you have. There's probably a few things. Now, do you remember, I'm going to turn this around a minute. Apparently that was a surgery, and quite possibly so. Now, I've learned tonight that there were more surgeries in this village than would have been needed in World War II. Or out on a battlefield. Medics, there were more medics in there than, yeah, I don't know where I want to take that, so I'll probably leave it there. Now, the shops don't finish here, not here. You've just seen the garage, but that's not the end of it. You've got Bethesda Road, which had a few shops. Omri shop right at the end of Bethesda Road. You've got a number of shops that are closed down opposite the factory, next door to the factory. You also had the bakery, the factory back then. and they used to supply a lot of products to the community, to the local shops. You even used to buy your birthday cakes there. There was also Winnie's, as I mentioned previously, a few other things. Dr. Sheehan was in there, according to Lisa. You still can't get an appointment. That does not surprise me whatsoever. Now, the reason I'm standing in here is because I want a new seat on this bus stop. Now, I'm not sure what goes down that somebody feels the need to take the seating from a bus stop or damage it. Surely we don't need to be doing that stuff. And if there's kids out there who are bored, join a gym. Get on that bus there and join a gym. If you're bored and you're breaking stuff, it's time to sort of quit nicking seats from bus stops and join a gym. Not just a gym, there's probably other things you could be doing. Now, as I mentioned, there was Gary Watkins as well. I don't know what my camera's doing. Hello, camera, come back. As I mentioned, there was Gary Watkins in the street. There was also Irvon, the milkman. So, you know, there was a lot of people working to provide the community with all the groceries, their milk, their bread. And it used to be a huge thing when we were kids. Much of it has gone at this stage. But we didn't just have that either. We had even then what would now be known as the black market. You could go into people's houses, buy your sports gear, your t-shirts, your trainers, your tobacco, your booze, whatever. So there were a lot of shops that were not on the map. Birthday cakes are still to die for, yes. But who makes them? Does it still operate in that sense? Winnie's shop, yes. Lisa, Aaliyah, sorry. We'll call you Lisa. It's a new name for you. I remember it as a surgery. Says Monday. Good evening, Chris. Michael the Pop Man. Yes, you're the Pop Man, who was from Dravach, I think. And he used to come round with a pop. I'm going to cause accidents standing here. I can see it happening. Good evening, Daryl. I'm from Cwngwili originally and have some old photos from around the village. Will forward to you. That would be absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much, Pam. Really appreciate that. Angela Bakery, yes. Les the Butcher. I don't remember Les the Butcher. I remember the name. There was Edwin the Butcher, who provided a few things for the community, like your meats or your other stuff. And we even had bookies that provided our gambling needs. And yes, remember going on the back of the pop van? Yes, we used to ride the pop van, and we used to ride the back of the milk van long before. I remember my cousins actually riding the back of the milk van. Hazel Wool Shop, thank you, Leah, yes. So we've seen quite a bit of this evening. Now next week I'm going to show you something of a provision that I've not been to before. Not to show you guys anyway. I've shown you one place. I'm going to show you something else next week, hopefully, and share a bit of history, learn a bit more together. How's that sound? I'm conscious that it is raining slightly, but I'm going to brave it, and I'm going to keep walking. There's a lot of things I would like to show you in this village, which I'm not really going to have the opportunity tonight, but we'll be back next week. Shine or shower, doesn't matter, we'll be here. Thank you for joining me, Andrew O'Leary, the cobbler down Bethesda. Yes, the cobbler, I have heard. Yes, across Tisha Road. Okay, that'll be... I'll look into that. Did you have the Eggman? No. We had the Fishman, the Egg... Yes, we did. I don't remember exactly though. Anyway, please keep posting. Please keep sharing this around, because the more information I get, the more help it is to the whole project in documenting Tumble as it is now and the things we used to have historically. Thanks everyone for joining me. Keep messaging, send any pictures in, share this, rate it, talk about it, share more information to me. I look forward to hearing from you. I'll see you soon. Next Sunday, be there, be square, 5 o'clock. Over and out, Brussels sprout.